and welcome to this GST Utsav week or say month. Navratri is there, and our Honorable Prime Minister has given us the name GST Utsav. And friends, to continue the environment of Utsav, it should be seamless, it should be with no technical issues or legal issues. And that's why if we want no issues. But if issues come in, then you must have the insights how to take the litigation forward. So, in this process, many things are there that GST has completed 8 years and now it's a ninth year. We have seen lots of changes, and in this second 22nd September also we have seen lot of changes. So how to empower our taxpayers, how to keep the environment of Utsav continue, because officers feel otherwise. They think law is like this, we feel law is like this. Right now also, if you see, compensation says is a matter, accumulated ITs is a matter, lot of things are there. And for this, we have learned faculty who is a chartered accountant, Brijesh Verma. I know him from so many years, and he is one of the finest faculty and also a advocate. And he is a master in indirect taxes. He has a very vast experience of GST litigation as well as the indirect tax litigation. Friends, our chairman, RK sir, is one of the most vibrant chairman of indirect tax committee. Right now, he is not available due to his health program. There is no issue about his health, but he is getting ready with the new zeal, new enthusiasm in this uh, Navratri festival. And in future also, GST committee is looking forward to work more and more under his chairmanship. Friends, we are also planning Pan India GST also connect with the taxpayers and the local authorities. So get ready for it. Yes, we know that it's a income tax compliance month, but you all participants are very lucky that you will be listening to Brijesh Verma for these insights on GST litigation webinar. So welcome you all. Thanks to our tech team, thanks to our uh, IDT secretary and all the team members, Ajay and Imprit. So let's enjoy the series of knowledge and wish you all happy Navratri. Over to you, Brijesh Bhai.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Uh, First of all, I would like to really thank and congratulate the Indirect Tax Committee. I've been a part of this committee as a special invitee for so many years. And I've always seen this committee work so hard, but under RK sir, under you, Umesh bhai, things have really taken shape in a very beautiful sense. I'd like to congratulate the committee because the topic they've chosen and the topic they've chosen and given to me at this juncture, it's very important because see, हम लोग जहां से हम लोगों ने जीएसटी की शुरुआत की थी, आई थिंक आई कैन बी बाइलिंगुअल.
English is preferred
Mostly
because
prefer.
many
No problem.
people are from South also.
No problem. No problem. So when we started learning GST, when GST was introduced in the country, it was I'm not against GST. I'm very pro GST. But when the things were introduced, it was on a very plain and simple level. It was we were told that GST will be very simple. It will be a good and simple tax. That was many of us define GST as a very good and simple tax. Of course, the law is very simple, but the compliance part, I must really say that why this why this particular session gains more importance when it comes to litigation. It gains more importance because of the ever evolving nature of GST law. As very correctly mentioned by our worthy VC sir, yesterday only GST 2.0 has taken its real shape. Now, why litigation seems important is the first thing, and very correctly mentioned by Umesh Bhai also, the cess. We are about to encounter so many issues in GST after this 2.0, GST 2.0, be it cess, be it the MRP based valuation, be it the accumulated input tax credit on items that have now gone to the reduced rate. There are so many issues and so many confusions that are prevalent in the entire country. I remember very clearly when GST was introduced, we were made to understand that there will be a three-step simple process. GST is a three-step simple process. That is, somebody would file his GSTR 1. That becomes my GSTR 2A or 2B. I find it and correct it. That becomes my GSTR 2. And then auto population of most of the columns of GSTR 3. So it was a plain and simple 1, 2, and 3 step GST. We were also told that there will not be any cascading effect of tax, because that was the main reason why GST was being introduced. More than 15 taxes, 14, 15 taxes have been subsumed. And for that reason only, because there should not be a tax on tax. That is the basic principle of our country and the indirect tax laws. When GST was introduced, it was that simple initially. But when the compliances have arisen, I'm very, since this is a webinar, I don't think there is a lot of interaction with people. I'm not sure, so I'll have to just check whether there are any queries. In the meanwhile, I'll see the queries also. So when we advance through GST, the laws are changing. The laws are changing on a very drastic level. But as tax professionals, we have to admit one thing. In fact, as GST professionals, we have to admit one thing. And that thing is, still we are not very much clear on basic issues. Very basic issues. If I may get the answers here, I'll be very happy to receive the comments in case tech team can help me out in that. I just wanted to raise one simple query, which is the first step into GST as to the place where I should get registered. If I'm a taxpayer, say for example, I'm in Delhi and I own a piece of land or maybe a building in Mumbai, in Maharashtra, and I'm giving that building on rent to some corporate, where do I have to register? The basic simple question, where do I have to register? I'm sure, again, at the cost of repeating, since it's a webinar, I'm not able to interact with people. So I'll have to give the answers myself. But there will be a lot of people who may comment that, yes, you have to take registration in Delhi. And at the same time, 50% people will say you have to take registration in Mumbai. Such basic issues have not been answered as yet. And that, I believe, is one of the major concerns today, one of the major concerns, that we are not able to still get basic answers. There are various clarifications. So this is one litigation point. There are various clarifications on various issues, which I believe they tend to aggravate the issue more rather than giving clarifications. One classic example is sale of developed plots. Now, if I may get some answers, sale of developed plots is taxable or not taxable? I will get a few answers that Circular 177 has clarified, that there is no tax. It is still sale of land, and therefore it is part of Schedule 3. Schedule 3 means it is neither a supply of goods nor a supply of services. Agreed, totally agreed. But once I request you, as professionals, as Umesh bhai already said, I am into GST litigation since forever, and into indirect tax litigations. As a litigation lawyer or as a litigation chartered accountant, we need to start reading between the lines. So when I say sale of developed plots is taxable or not, the plain and simple answer should not be, ideally it should not be, that no, there is no tax. Because there's Circular 177, how can you say it is taxable? I'm sure it is not taxable. But what is not taxable? Because Circular number 177 has used the words, if some development has been done. Now, this line is very, very important, dear friends. Circular specifically says that sale of developed plots is not taxable if some development like plumbing, like drainage, they've mentioned 2 or 3 things. Now, what is the extent? So here, since the topic is litigation, where does litigation arise? Litigation arises on these points, where clearly it shows that the circular, which is clarifying a particular doubt, has not in fact clarified it fully. And therefore, there is a little scope there is a little scope of litigation. I'll just share my presentation so that things are much clearer. So this is just 1 or 2 examples. These are just 2 examples, where to register and what about sale of developed plots. There, I have just made a list of a few things which I'll discuss during the course of the webinar. There is a lot of scope for the department to litigate, and therefore a lot of scope for the professionals to defend the client. So today we'll see what are summons, because see, litigation under GST will start either from a scrutiny of return, or after scrutiny, or maybe after a visit from the department officer's team, there will be a summon. And then there will be an investigation into the matter. And thereafter, there'll be either show cause notice, then you'll go to the first appeal, then you'll go to the second appeal, and to the High Court, and so on and so forth. So we'll see what are the sources of information for the department. How does the department gather information about you? Are there any guidelines for issuance of summons? What all techniques can the department use to extract information from you? Is there a set procedure for the summon? What does summon deal with? How to give your statements? How to tender your statements? Whether an advocate or a chartered accountant can be present during the summon when the statements are being recorded? What are there any limits to the authorities, or they are unfettered powers with the department? How do we appear before the authority in the summon? What are the offenses? What are the constitutional validities of search, seizure, and confiscation? We'll see all this. Then we'll see how do we represent once the summon is over. and then you receive a show cause notice or maybe a ASMT 10, how do you proceed? What should be your approach towards various type of demands? Because there are various type of demands under the GST law. How do we represent co-notices? How do we draft the first appeal? How do we, what are the limitations and condonations and the like? So we'll navigate through the GST appellate tribunal also, because it's a very vast topic. We just had the rules and procedures of GST 80. So that will be a huge, but I've tried to brush upon few important aspects and highlight them. Then the latest, because of late for the past 8 years, we have been resorting to High Court only because we didn't have the GST 80. So the only recourse in big matters was to approach the Honorable High Court under the writ jurisdiction of 226. Friends, summon under GST is a very, very important document. Summon means basically by issuing a summon, the department wants or it instructs you in strict language to come, visit the department, bring certain documents or information, and to tender your statements if required, and then the case will be investigated according to what you say. My first question always to the department is, always in any reply or in any defense submission that I make, my first question, and that's what I'm suggesting all the viewers, the first thing that you should ask the department in a polite sense is whether this summon was required at all. Could a simple inquiry notice or letter had sufficed the purpose or not? Because, friends, if you can note, a summon is a judicial proceeding under the IPC and CPC. The Civil Procedure Code, a summon will be just like a magistrate issuing a summon to a normal offender. So invocation of a Civil Procedure Code should not be done in a very normal sense, in a day-to-day inquiry routines. So I request you to note down the contents of instruction number 3 of 2223, wherein this instruction, a set procedure to issue a summon, a set procedure to obtain the statements, a set procedure to carry on the proceedings in the summon have been mentioned. Section 70 has authorized or has given the power to an officer, obviously not below the rank of superintendent, to summon any person before them to provide evidence in the form of documents regarding any specific matter. Friends, in a very classic case recently, so we are handling a matter from Rajasthan where the department has issued a summon. First of all, there was a search conducted at the premises. He's an iron and scrap dealer. So a search was conducted and a lot of things were found in the stockyard. Various types of bars, various types of girders, various types of sheets and everything. And the department straight away started calculating the weight without putting them on a weighing scale, just by eye estimation. The department started calculating the value, the weight, and then the department went on to the physical aspect versus the books of account. The value was a mismatch. Of course, it will be a mismatch. What could have been done by the department? What should have been done by the department? The first query that comes to my mind is, the department came, and this is a live case. I'm not making this up. We are handling this before Honorable Allahabad High Court. So what the department did was, at the first instance, since this topic is litigation, I'll jump on and I'll hop back to this case study. I would request all the viewers, all the listeners, to please make a point that even before coming to the facts of any particular matter, whether the law is applicable, whether the tax is applicable, whether this rate is applicable or not, I sincerely request everybody to please first check any notice, any summon for procedural or contextual or legal infirmities. Now, this action of the department, which they have taken under Section 67 of searching the premises of the client, is this a proper procedure that they should have followed? Because, and why I ask so, they came at around 12 p.m. in the afternoon and they left the premises at 6 p.m. in the afternoon. The department comes, values the stock on basis of eye estimation, goes away, and then sends me a letter for confiscation, a notice for confiscation. First of all, for seizure, and thereafter for confiscation, they send me a show cause notice under Section 130 of the Act. Now, as we all are tax professionals, and I'm sure many seniors must be there. When does the power to search a premise, any premises of belonging to a taxpayer, when can this power be exercised? This is a very, very valid question. When can this power be exercised? This power can be exercised only and only when there is a reason to believe. There is a reason to believe that some tax evasion has been done. I would request everybody to kindly highlight this particular statement, reason to believe. Reason to believe. The word is reason to believe and not the reason to suspect. It has to be a firm belief that yes, I know, I have this insider information, I have obtained these fake bills, I have obtained these fake bills or maybe the fake e-bills, and I know that this quantum, roughly this quantum of tax has been evaded. I have reasons to believe. Then I can immediately come and search your premises. But if I do not have any reason to believe, how can I come? So in my matter, coming back, they've issued me a Section 130 for confiscation. First of all, they issued me a seizure memo wherein they seized a particular quantity, a particular amount. They did not identify that this particular iron or this particular sheet has been impounded, has been seized. So my stock is still open. I can deal in that stock. And whenever the department asks me, I can say, oh yes, fine. 2 crores value of goods are still there, lying there. You did not identify any bar, any girder, any sheet. So what I'm trying, what inference I need to draw from this particular case is we need to start hitting while litigating with the department on behalf of our client. We cannot just give reply on the basis of the facts and legalities of the matter. We also need to start challenging the actions of the department. Say, for example, how many of us think that ASMT 10 is a compulsory document to be issued? Again, I will not get the answers. I'm just trying to see if there are any answers to this. Yeah. Just a second. I'm sorry for the. Now I have 5 questions. I just have one question. Just informing the IDT team. I have one information and 4 highs and hellos. So hi and hello to everybody. So is ASMT 10 a compulsory document? This is very important. While you'll receive a show cause notice, and that is the first basic litigation. Of course, summon is, but when you receive the first GST show cause notice, that is the first step of your GST litigation. So while you are preparing a response to that particular show cause notice, do you think ASMT 10 is an important or is an inevitable step that has to be taken by the department? Kindly note that when the show cause notice is based, and this is very important to note, when the show cause notice is based on scrutiny of returns, that means if the show cause notice under 73, 74, 74A is based out of any audit, is based out of any search, seizure operation, is a different aspect. But if it is based, because we are receiving, every day we are receiving the scrutiny notices, either it's a particular tax period or it is a particular year, but we receive a scrutiny notice, a show cause notice for a particular year, and we do not receive ASMT 10 for that year. You have to challenge that action of the department, of the officer concerned. Yes, Shabir Ahmed, sir. If the show cause notice is specifying that based upon the scrutiny, following discrepancies have been observed, then ASMT 10 cannot be bypassed by the department. So we need to write these particular things. We need to emphasize on these particular infirmities. Department has various sources. Department has third-party exchange policy. The department can go to the buyers and sellers account, or maybe they can call for information. So these particular sources of information, the department has a number of sources. So we need to be very sure about which source to hit and what source department has used. We have to counter challenge that source. In a very recent case, more particularly, cross-examination. This is also one word I wanted to highlight since the beginning. Cross-examination. Have we ever tried cross-examining somebody under GST law? We are not trying to even cross-examine things. And if we are, then I'm really sure it's a very good thing on your part as a litigator. In one of the cases, the department comes up to me and says to my client that, yes, this particular input credit you have taken, but it is not showing in your 2A. So there were those circulars on the basis of which the taxpayer received the certificates from the uh, the vendor, who specified that, I'm sorry, I mentioned a wrong GSTIN, and therefore it has gone to somebody else's account and not to your account. Now, what the officer did, the adjudicating officer, what he did was, he said that this has not come to your 2A, and we do not have the bandwidth or the time to inquire whether the other person has taken the input credit or not. And he has confirmed the demand. Although we had a certificate, although we had, the client had, the client approached us, we moved the first appellate authority, and the first appellate authority, at the instance the hearing was being done, we had certain, we had to run a lot, and then we found out that the other person has actually not taken the ITC. This is what we found. So if the department is not doing, you can cross-examine their, whatever the department is saying, whatever the averments are there in the show cause notice or in the summon. You have all the power in this world to cross-examine those particular. If the department is basing its finding on a third-party data, you have all the power to challenge that third-party data. If the department is basing its recovery proceeding or its the show cause notice on the basis of such matters wherein a third party is being involved, you have the power, please mark my words, you have the power to approach that third party and receive a certificate and then provide to the department. Friends, invocation of CPC, CRPC is a very serious matter, and instruction 3 has mandated it that summon issuance cannot be routine or casual. So in case your client is receiving summons for everyday inquiry, you have to mention it on a very specific note and take this matter to the higher level. Any officer who's issuing the summons on a daily basis or on a routine basis, you can always approach his superior to inform that this has happened. Because there is a clear mandate in instruction number 3 that senior management should ideally not be involved. Department is seeking certain information which is already there on the portal. They do not have updated 2A, and then they are raising the demand on the basis of that updated underdated 2A, where the value is lesser than the value which ought to have happened, which you are using for filing the annual returns. Such information, rather than just giving that information, what I'm trying to tell you, we cannot deny whatever is being asked for. First of all, this we have to be very sure, because we cannot infringe the decorum of the department. We cannot try to involve ourselves in personal grudges with the department, nor we can speak ill to the department. This is not what our institute has taught us. But there, having said that, highlighting anything that is being done wrong is what I want from you, is what I suggest. Highlighting something that is being done against any circular or instruction, because mind it, circulars and instructions are binding on the department and not on the SSC. So if any particular officer is bypassing his authority and not obeying any particular circular or instruction, you have to highlight it in writing to either the same officer or to an officer superior to him. The summon obviously should mention this also. You have to see and check whether the summon has mentioned the name of the person who is being summoned. Now, DIN is mandatory. There are again, this circular has made a very confusing statement. DIN is mandatory for all documents except that those documents that are uploaded by the department on portal and they bear a traceable reference number. Otherwise, if you're receiving anything physically, DIN is still very compulsory. So every time there have been summons have been challenged at the court level, summons have been challenged in various fora. Every time, whatever the crux has happened is investigation should be initiated first of all by official letters and not directly by summons. Friends, one more thing I want to request you, that at least at adjudication level, at least at the adjudication level, you must address the officer as a quasi-judicial authority. This mention is very important when we see it from the point of view of the higher courts. And especially when GST 80 has also now been announced and now been formed, and the principal bench has started giving its decisions in Delhi. The mention of quasi-judicial nature, because the department or the officer, the adjudicating officer, is not just sitting there for collection of tax. This you have to mention in writing, in your letter, in your response, in your reply, or in your appeal, that since while adjudicating a matter, the officer is in a quasi-judicial capacity. So therefore, he has to also think about grievance redressal rather than mere collection of tax. He has to give you the relief which is available to you, even if you have demanded it or not, in writing. If the relief is available, the relief should be given. During summons, you must have gone with your clients. During summons, there is a lot of coercion. Even not only during summons, whenever the department is approaching to any taxpayer's premises, the department itself, the officers, they create such a strong environment there that you're forced to make certain payment. That payment, first of all, you should immediately, first of all, you must mention to your clients that no such payment has to be made under coercion. We'll just go through the detail. I think Shabir sir, I'll come to this first. See, department is so the query that has come is the assistant commissioner in a particular state is sending suo motu cancellation notices for not filing for 2 or 3 months for regular taxpayer. Yes, sir, certainly this is happening. This is certainly happening. And I'll tell you a very classic example, which we are representing a client from Ayodhya before the Honorable High Court. Next week, we'll be filing the writ petition, exactly identical to your matter, Shabir sir. What has happened is the department, when you're not filing your returns for a particular 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, what happens is these days, since it is a totally technology driven tax, what happens is you get a defaulter notice from the officer concerned. You get a defaulter notice, and that notice is under 62. I'll come up to that later, but thank you for raising the query right now. So the department is issuing 62 against your clients and saying that you are default, you have done any default in filing the returns. Sometimes they go for suo motu cancellation, which is definitely appealable. You must not think about anything else and you must go into appeal. First of all, Shabir sir. And secondly, in this example, which case we'll be contesting next week at Allahabad High Court, what the department has done is very, very, I must say, heartbreaking, in fact. What they have done is, so that particular client who has been referred to us has not made few payments. So they got default notices and also the default assessment order under 62. ASMT 13 they received. Now, ASMT 13, once they received, so that demand stood on the portal. Now, what the client did was, because section 62 subsection 2, it clearly mentions that if that particular demand or R1 and 3B is being filed within 60 days of the notice, within 60 days of the judgment, of the assessment order, if you have filed your return under within 60 days of that particular assessment order under section 62, then that order is deemed to be withdrawn. Kindly mark this. That order is deemed to be withdrawn. Now, in our case, this matter, the client almost on a regular basis for 15 odd months, he made this because he had some financial crunch. So what he did was he made the payment as in when he was financially comfortable, but always within 60 days. So the deemed withdrawal is what we were hoping. His tax professional, maybe the chart accountant or the advocate who advises on regular compliances, he thought that yes, under 62(2), the demand is deemed to be withdrawn, so nothing more to be done. Now, after a span of 15 months, the demand kept cumulatively rising, cumulatively. All those demand letters were not deemed withdrawn from the portal. And once this happened, the demand became humongous in multi crores. And without a second thought, this is very important case study. This can happen anywhere and must be happening with you. That demand kept on increasing day by day basis, and the department started recovery proceedings under 79. The officer attached the bank accounts. The officer wrote to the creditors. The officer wrote to all the banks and almost marked a lien on whatever amount was there in his bank account. So this is a classic example of extra jurisdictional powers being exercised by an officer, which must be dealt with very seriously. And unless and until, if you just say, sir, under section 62(2), this has happened, so kindly withdraw your demands. No, go to the higher court and explain that why this has happened. This is an automatic law. 62(2) means automatic withdrawal of demands. Why do I have to approach a court before for taking advantage of that 62(2), which is an automatic section? So all these things, right from the start, I've been emphasizing, because what the officer does is that, first of all, he makes a statement of fact. Whenever you see a show cause notice, I request you to please note this down. Whenever the department or an officer issues a show cause notice, there are three parts of the show cause notice. The first part being a statement of fact. The show cause notice or any other letter has a fact that yes, this is the particular transaction we were going through, or this was the particular ITC that was being reflected. The second is interpretation of that fact. So now the officer will interpret that fact on the basis of his own judgment. That I see that the truck was coming and the truck was 1 day delayed, or maybe the e-way bill did not contain such and such particulars, whatever. And then third part is opinion. The officer forms an opinion about the statement of fact coupled with his interpretation of the fact, and then he'll give an opinion about the entire scenario. Friends, we need to challenge all three legs of the show cause notice. First, we will challenge procedural and technical infirmities. Number two, we will challenge the statement. Number three, we will have to challenge the interpretation of that statement of fact. And third and finally, we have to challenge the interpretation or the opinion that has been formed on the basis of his own interpretation of law and of fact. So in our case, the officer, what he did under 62.2, by disregarding 62.2, will be challenged on all these three legs before the Honorable High Court. Now, a very interesting case, if I can get few answers on this reply portal or the queries portal, I'll be very happy. Recently, now, many of us are dealing with the builders as our clients. Now, take an example of a situation where I'm a builder of a multi-storied apartments, multi-story building. And I started, the project started way back in 2012, maybe 12, 13, 14, whatever date. I started booking the flats, and my customers gave me the amount of advance plus relevant service tax, whatever was applicable. Now we come to the GST regime. Now that client has paid almost 70% of his dues. And now he wants to switch either from the building, because I've not given possession yet. And there is no completion certificate as yet. So now that client comes to me, that customer comes to me and says, I don't want to book it anymore. Give me my money back along with my service tax. I paid you 1 crore till date, including of service tax, say suppose. Give me my 1 crore back. I have to give. I cannot deny. I gave him his 1 crore. What about the service tax portion, which I have already paid to the central government at that time, before GST, in the service tax regime? I'll be really happy if I get few answers, because if we start interacting, then I think litigation can be understood in a much better sense. I can learn from you, you can learn from me. In this case, the department has confirmed the demand. The department has confirmed the demand by stating, because what the assessee did was, what the taxpayer did was, the amount of service tax which he paid back to the customer, the same amount he started reflecting in his ITC of that particular month. and that too only under the central head, because it was earlier paid to the central government and not to the state government. So he started paying to the central head, started taking ITC from the central head only. And when the state head was auto-populated, he reversed it back. That is fine. The officer is not in, we don't have a difference on that particular portion. Now that adjudicating officer has said that this ITC is not permissible to you, it's a huge amount. It's not permissible to you. You have to pay this back along with interest, penalties, and everything. Now, what should be our defense against this? I've written a few matters, few uh, burning issues which I wanted to discuss on this forum. And I'll share this with the tech team so that these issues can also be sent to you. So in this case, the department has denied, and we are into first appeal. In few cases, the first appeal has also denied, but in two matters, the first appeal has started rethinking. All the hearings were over because our line of defense is this is how uh, we need to portray things before the adjudicating of authorities or maybe the appellate authorities. We are trying to use the provisions of section 142 that are transitional provisions. The officer comes up to me and tells, there is no specific transitional provision. I said, agreed. There is no specific transitional provision. Then I said, where is a specific denial? You're saying I don't have a specific approval. I say, where is a specific denial? There are provisions which, when read together under section 142(2), 2A, 2B, when they are read together, 2B specifically says when if a running contract is the value is reduced, then to the amount of reduction, the proportionate tax paid in the previous law can be obtained as a ITC here. If that goes fine with the reduction, why cannot it go fine with the cancellation? These are certain issues which we need to discuss, and we need to learn how to litigate, or how to at least put our point. We may or may not win the litigation at first level, but of course, with the advent of GST 80, GST 80 has all the powers in this world, because the GST 80 procedure rules, they make GST 80, the appellate tribunal, almost at par with a civil court. There is a specific provision in the procedures that it has the power of a civil court. So once the GST 80 has powers as a civil court, then if, in that sense, to that extent, your empowerment is also done, that you can play a much better innings at the GST 80 level rather than at the first appellate level. So now, during the summons, the department is of course taking confessions. So confession is something which is very serious. Confession means the written submission or the written statement. That is being recorded under the summon. I'll come to that in few more slides. Once your client tenders a statement under section 70, first of all, the department generally denies. It used to deny under the service tax law, excise law, but now they've started giving it. First of all, ask your client or educate your client that they have to obtain a copy of the statement which is being recorded under section 70. They have to obtain it. And as soon as they obtain a copy, they have to discuss it with you. And once they discuss with you, just try to find out the infirmities, and maximum in a day or two, just file a retraction. This retraction will be very, very important tool when GST 80 comes up. When you start filing the appeals before GST 80. There'll be two types of appeal, of course. One will be the arithmetic appeal, which is totally based on facts. This was not shown in this column, this was not shown in this column. But then thereafter, there will be legal appeals where you'll be challenging the law will be challenging you. So there'll be search matters which will go to the GST 80 or maybe the High Court. And in those search matters, these evidences, these statements, these confessions are very important, and you have to be very serious about them. The department also goes for experts' opinion, just like special audit under 66. There can be standards of weights and measurement act. There can be FSSAI officials for foods and standards of safety and everything. So once this sort of uh, this sort of action is taken by the department, by an officer, we have to be doubly sure that immediately we try to cross-examine such a witness or such an opinion. Kindly note this. We have all the power to cross-examine. I'm repeating it right from slide 1. These are the modes of services of summon. Very interestingly, of late, various high courts have started feeling, and genuinely there are cases, various court of laws have started feeling and started narrating that merely upload on the portal, merely uploading on the portal should not be resorted to, especially in matters where the circumstantial evidences show that the taxpayer did not have any direct connect with the portal or was unable to seek any assistance to go through the portal. I'll come up with a very important case which you can use later. Another thing I've mentioned in bold and caps, Dasti Saman. There is a very interesting concept of Dasti Saman. Dasti is a Hindi word. I'm sure people must have heard about it. This generally happens in courts and not in the first appellate forum or anyone. But with advent of GST 80. Now what will happen? Take an example of a matter which I previously gave example that the officer said that I am not able to check the portal of the other person for whom the GSTR1 was wrongly filed with whose GSTIN, and therefore I am denying your ITC. Now, when you are approaching the Honorable GST 80, you can request the 80 by filing a interlocutory application that kindly call the other party also. GST 80 can serve summons. And once GST 80 is serving summon, you can always request with another interlocutory application that kindly permit us to make the service through WhatsApp. Kindly note this, that I request all the participants to note this, that we have to make a separate application, interlocutory application, IA, along with requisite fee, of course, to the GST 80, so that the GST 80 allows servicing of summon through WhatsApp as well as Dasti. Dasti summon means just give the summon to me. By any mode, I will send this summon to the other party, and then I will file an affidavit of service before this honorable court. Very recently, last month, we were fortunate enough that Honorable Supreme Court of India in a matter argued by yours truly, was we were able to obtain the permission to serve a summon through WhatsApp as well as through Dasti. So we used speed posts, we used personal person to send the summon. In person, the person went to the office boy went and made sure that the summon is delivered, and then we filed an affidavit of service and things were taken back to trial. So this is a very important item where we need to be very sure when GST is there. Of course, this is a very, even if I don't have this slide, this is, of course, we know this repercussions. There are huge ramifications of false statement. And since it is a judicial proceeding under IPC and CPC, there can be an imprisonment if you give any false statements or false knowing that it is false. So it would be always better, mm, as a litigator, it would be always better that uh, if summon is inevitable and if recording of statement is also inevitable, I think there should be a conference session with your client so that all possible angles can be explored, and he be given clear instructions of his extent to which he can record his statement. Because there is a possibility that he does not know things technically, or uh, he's unaware of the proceedings of the portal, unaware of the various forms and formats. So that can be a very big challenge if he says something in the department and makes his statement in records his statement, and then thereafter you're unable to retract it. So retraction should be, as I already mentioned, retraction of a statement should be to the extent earliest possible. It has to be retracted as early as possible. And it should be very prompt, believable, and convincing, and not just an afterthought. In few cases, we've seen that when the and especially you will see this issue in matters that are referred to you and those who are not your regular compliance clients. When matters are referred to you, then they are referred to you after a long period of time. Something must have went wrong with them, then thereafter they resorted to reach out to you. And once they reach out to you, 1 or 2, 3 months have already passed, and now they are suggesting let's just go and retract the statement as such. This cannot happen. Obviously, it's not the case that this cannot happen at all, but yes, this can happen. You can retract after some time, but then again, it should be convincing and very believable based on certain uh, background material, based on certain new facts. You might have come across any new fact, you might have come across any new circular, new notification, whatever can happen. So there, at that time, you can retract your statement. So this is something which I was wondering if someone, people can note, all the listeners, all the viewers can note that whenever you are receiving any notice, be it a ASMT, be it a show cause notice, all three legs, as I already mentioned, all three legs have to be challenged. Now, a very classic type of litigation you must have also felt, or you must have also come across. A very classic is regarding the exporters. The department is requiring that exporters must reverse their input tax credit I would request the listeners to please respond to this particular case. It's a very interesting matter. So the department issues the ASMT 10 and thereafter a show cause notice requiring an exporter stating that, Mr. Exporter, you have, say, about 10 crores of turnover, export turnover, out of which 9 crore is the export turnover and 1 crore is sale of scripts, duty credit scripts, MEIS licenses and all. The department is saying that 1/10th of the entire ITC has to be reversed by you under Rule 42. Because exempt turnover upon total turnover into multiply by total input tax credit. Now the fact here the department says, the fact is I have 10 crore ITC, 10 crore turnover. I have say about 2 crores of ITC. The department wants me to reverse 20 lakhs of this, which is 1/10th. So the fact is correct that I have this much ITC. The fact is correct that I have this much of turnover. Now he starts interpreting in a very revenue friendly manner, which is that under Rule 42, Mr. Exporter is required to reverse exempt turnover upon total turnover into total ITC. And therefore, he forms an opinion that out of 2 crores of ITC, 20 lakhs is inadmissible ITC and you need to reverse it. Another example can be an automobile dealer receives a notice where the fact is, Mr. Dealer, you have purchased few demo cars from the OEM manufacturer. Then he interprets that since these cars have been capitalized, hence he makes an opinion that you will not receive ITC. Another example can be your 2B and 3B have a difference. Your 2B has a lesser value, you have claimed a higher value, therefore this seems to be inadmissible. E-way is showing higher value, whereas R1 is showing lower value. Without considering that E-way may have been cancelled, E-way yes, Vishal sir, export is not treated as an exempt supply. That's what the contention is. Vishal sir, that's what the contention is. The contention of the department in the first matter is you have a export turnover of 9 and sale of duty scripts, MEIS license is 1. So the department is not challenging that 9/10 has to be reversed. No, that was not the matter. The department says that 1/10, since there is no tax on sale of MEIS licenses, duty scripts, since it is there is no tax on that, therefore it becomes an exempt turnover. So in this case also, the department forms in a very hilarious matter. One officer reaches to the construction site of a client, wherein he finds that a lot of material is there. A lot of steel, cement, bricks, fly ash, and everything is there. the officer wants a quantitative tally of all the stock which has been held as at the end of the year. He visited, suppose, on 31st of March, and he wants a quantitative tally. I'm sure, and I would like to really thank our alma mater, ICAI, that in this matter, our institute came to my rescue, in the sense that I had to use the accounting standards formulated by our institute, and they came to my rescue in this stock at construction site matter. Coming back, the main aspect that I want to highlight here is that all the three legs of a particular notice, of a particular departmental challenge, are very, very critical that a very strong defense be made against all these three. The first line will always be, the first line of action will always and always be to challenge the procedural or legalities of the action. If there are any infirmities, you have to highlight. Again, I'm repeating. Number two, you will have to highlight that the facts are wrong, or if the facts are correct, then the interpretation is wrong. And once the interpretation is wrong, the opinion formed by the department is also wrong. Once we receive notices, we receive calls from our client that a truck has been uh, intercepted at a particular place in a particular state. The truck was crossing 4 states, and one of the state and reaching the fifth state. And one of the state GST officers have intercepted the truck and have confiscated the goods and are demanding penalty, 200% penalty. Friends, clear circulars are there, clear instructions are there that the officer cannot intercept the vehicle merely on the basis of minor issues with the e-way or the invoice. They have a series of, it's a long old circular 2018-19, where the department has clearly said, where the CBIC has clearly said that, okay, fine, once you interpret, I have one query, sir, on the basis of that person purchased the goods as mandatory mentioned. Sir, I'll come back to this. Ankit, sir, I'll come back to this. It's a long query. I'll have to read first at the end of the session. Because this is a query. Otherwise, the people were other experts were replying to the query. I'll just come back to this e-way bill matter. So the e-way bill may have certain discrepancies. The e-way bill may have some issues, but if they are covered under the circular issued by the CBIC, then the department is not authorized to confiscate them. See, interception 129, confiscation 130. Interception, after interception, the only thing that the department sees is just deposit 200% penalty and take away your vehicle. Why? We need to challenge that also. As soon as you come across, because they are in a hurry to issue all the MOV forms, so that the moment they find that yes, there is a minor issue, what the officer, the team, the mobile squad does is it takes it to the department office and then immediately issue MOV and other aspects ask you to deposit. This is coercion. You need not deposit that tax. There are, however, I do understand there are sometimes mm, there are occasions where it's not possible for you to reach out to the officer because the officer belongs to another state, and you are also not able to identify any tax professional friend who can reach out to the officer and explain the process to him. But then, if at all it is possible, immediately write at least a very small, first discuss with the driver, first discuss with the person concerned, whosoever is there, that what is the main issue on the basis of which the e-way bill has been, the vehicle has been withheld. And if you find that the circular, the defect that has happened is covered under the circular, immediately write a 4-line, 8-line, 10-line letter, send it across WhatsApp to the driver, who can discuss or show it to the officer. At least that document. Why I say so? He may or may not agree. 99% he will not. But that first letter on your client's letterhead will help you throughout till the Honorable High Court. That first letter of 8 lines, just make a prototype in your office. No, we have a set this thing. Okay, fine. He is challenging the HSN wala bhej do. If he is challenging the vehicle number digit, 1 or 2 digits of the vehicle number, vehicle wala bhej do. Make 4 or 5 type of this thing. And since everything is not about professional opportunity or earning or anything, you can, as a matter of gesture or a goodwill to your main clients or big clients, whatever you want to name them, at least make a manual and send it across to them as a goodwill gesture. Whenever they find it that this has happened, they'll take a printout of it, put the date and everything, send it across to. Thank you, Prajesh sir. So appearance in summon, it has to be, you have to appear. That is no choice. So you cannot, it will be an offense if you do not appear. So that is for sure. But presence of a CA or advocate, whether it is a constitutional right, that I really want to know. Whether it is a constitutional right. Yes, sir. It is a constitutional right. Honorable Supreme Court in 1978. I'll just tell you the case also. You may note down the case because that will be a very important case where the department generally denies that no, you cannot sit. Just come back and tell the case. I'll just come back and tell the case. So this is your presence is his constitutional right. Your client can always say no, because even if you go through section 70, either yourself or through an authorized representative. Now this word or is being used. The department is saying either aap आओगे या आप आओगे, not both of you. No, both of you can go together. Constitutional validity of arrest and summons have been challenged a number of times in number of writ petitions, but certainly Honorable Supreme Court has very recently in February 2025 has said that no, they are legally valid. But the most important thing which is to be noted in this judgment, Radhika Agarwal versus UI, is that the second part, the second bullet, officer must record reason to believe. I request all the participants to kindly highlight this. Till the time recording of reason, the section which says about search is, he may authorize in writing to the person has reason to believe, where the proper officer not below the rank of joint commissioner has reason to believe. The phrase used in 67 is has reason to believe. Whereas Honorable Supreme Court says must record the reasons to believe. Now this will again, see, these are the minor points which are very important in litigation. If the reasons have to be recorded, because now Honorable Supreme Court has said, so the reason has to be recorded. And if the reasons have to be recorded, then I'm sure the court of law can always ask for it. The court of law can always say, what were the reasons to believe? Why did you make this search? So you can always challenge a vexatious search. If the search is proved to be vexatious, half the battle is won. So we need to really understand our power and the power that the client holds, because department, as we started, as Umesh ji also started, the department has a lot of power, and as a tax professional, as a lawyer, as a CA, we have a lot of power to interpret the law and to use the law. Department can try to litigate on very small trifle matters also. In one matter, the department, the show cause notice, tried to levy tax on the insurance claim that was received by a taxpayer in respect of his lost car, stolen car. Wanted to levy tax on this compensation received because he was a registered person. Now, what line of defense do we have? We should have a line of defense. We should have a line of retraction. We should have a line of counter to at least discuss with the department, at least what is the nature of the demand? What are you trying to demand? Is it possible to tax this amount? If somebody can help me out, any expert out there? Is there any way the department can levy tax on the compensation received for stolen vehicle from a taxpayer? Absolutely not. We need to understand the basic of Section 7. Section 7, everybody says Section 7 is the largest section. It has a lot of scope. It has everything. No, it's a very small, it's a contained section. It has to be, first of all, it has to be a supply. Supply has been narrated in Section 7. I always say there is no definition of supply in GST. Supply has not been defined only. Otherwise, had it been defined, it would have been in Section 2. Section 7 is supply because it is the scope of supply. The Act only tells the scope of supply. Yes, Mr. Ambrose and Shabir sir, you're correct. It is not a supply. The vehicle, the insurance claim which has been received is not a supply because there is no underlying service only. There is no underlying supply. I have received it as a compensation. I have received it as an actionable claim. Nothing doing. So we must note that the officer must record the reason in terms of, so now once we are challenging a search action, maybe if we are challenging a search action, then we need to also mention Radhika Agarwal versus UI, so that we can at least bring on record that yes, the officer should have recorded reasons in writing, and if at all there are, we need to see those reasons. Otherwise, it is a vexatious search. I think we have discussed the right to cross-examine already. This was the case I was discussing. If anybody is interested, you can note these two cases. It is a very important thing which I was discussing about that search matter, that the department comes to your premises on the basis of eye estimation. They find out that total stock on the basis of eye estimation is this, and your book shows this. There is some excess stock, and the excess stock is intended to evade tax. And therefore, I am starting proceedings under 130. Can these proceedings commence under 130? No. Honorable Supreme Court of India, this Vijay Trading Company went to Supreme Court, and the department appeal was dismissed. So you can note down the name. It's a very important, a very classic case in times to come. If there is an eye estimation, 130 is not possible. Only 73, 74 is possible. This is again a very specific aspect. I would request you to go through this block on slide number 29. This is how I approach a show cause notice. So this is my approach to the show cause notice. Kindly, if you want to note down, you can note down. So whenever your client receives a show cause notice, first of all, try to understand the allegation. Don't just start judging. Don't just start preparing the response. First of all, try to understand what allegations are there. And as I've been mentioning right from the first slide, search for the legal and procedural infirmities first. Third point, very important, very valid point. Does the SCN itself mention a hearing date? Is it so that the SCN itself is providing for a hearing date? If it is providing for a hearing date, technically what you're losing right now, just try to imagine. Technically, you're losing one date where section 75 says that a maximum of 3 adjournments can be granted. Section 75, the general provisions relating to section 75, subsection 5 proviso. Kindly note. If the show cause notice itself says that you reply up to this date and come on this date for the hearing, if you wish to be heard in person, then one date is lost. Because generally what happens is, practically I'm telling you, generally what happens is the department issues a show cause notice, and in the show cause notice, the hearing date is, say, suppose 13th of October, and the last date to file the response is 15th or 18th of October. That is antedated, post-dated, in fact. So that particular hearing you need to challenge right from the first go. I have the response has to be filed on till such and such date. So this hearing becomes infructuous. This word has to be used. This line of action, this line of defense has to be observed. Then, of course, you'll prepare the response. The response has to be made in a very detailed manner, which we'll discuss. We can have cross-examination. Correct nature of demand is very important. And your challenge to that is extremely important for your client. Whether it is a fit case for a 62 demand, whether it is a fit case for a 64 demand, whether it is a fit case for a 73 or a 74 or a 74A. And these were the issues when we were agitating. A lot of people like us were agitating all over the country. Therefore, this 74A came up. Because 74A does not differentiate except to the extent that the monetary value of penalty is changed. The time limit, no difference between 70, no difference between a fraud matter and a non-fraud matter. And this is a very, I think, a smart move from the department, from the government point of view, that now, and the date, we'll come to that later. What we generally do, I request whosoever is interested in knowing this, I request that once you prepare a response, the response should be a statement of fact. What we generally do is we start the response by briefly narrating the core issues without any facts and figures. The department has come up with a GSTR 1 to 3B difference or this and that difference, factual. Then the show cause notice has challenged availability of ITC. Third, the show cause notice has challenged the stock, whatever facts. Next para, the second para of our reply is always rebuttal, the primary rebuttal to the show cause notice. In bold, write all your rebuttals on a legal sense. First, the show cause notice, then your rebuttal, then just go for a detailed response, wherein you'll have to give a fact, wherein you have to give a give the law, wherein you have to then rebut on a line-wise basis the contents of the show cause notice. And then the last and most important aspect is prayer. What you pray for. Because friends, after the show cause notice is adjudicated, either you'll win or you'll lose. If you lose, you go to the first court. That is the first appeal. Then you go to the second court, which is the GST 80. Now, every tax law has a gestation period of 10 years. But in GST, we are seeing that after 5 or 6 years, initially 5 or 6 years, what happened was GST department was issuing notices relating to facts of the case, relating to this column, that column. Now we are seeing legal issues coming up. So that gestation period of 10 years has reduced to 5 or 6 years for GST. And now you will find legal issues more rather than mere technical this thing. And therefore, you have to be very particular about this draft and how you pray for the relief, what prayer you're making. And I request everybody, as a junior or as a senior, I don't know, but the last two ingredients of the box at slide number 29, there should be clear engagement terms with the client, which can be written in 2 or 3 lines in the wakalatnama itself or in the power of attorney itself, wherein you need to disclaim your liabilities, that we have been engaged for this particular litigation, and whatever the client is submitting before us as tax professionals, we are taking it to be correct without any liabilities assumed. For opportunity of being heard, obviously, I'm saying that 75, you have to respect 75. If first opportunity is lost, you're left with only two opportunities. So please take care of that. Do's and don'ts in virtual hearing. This is a very, because since it's a part of the curriculum, I have to make it. Otherwise, there's nothing new that I can tell you. If I may request anyone from the IDT committee to come up, please.
Yes, sir.
Um, uh, how much time do we generally keep for question answers?
Sir, you can take the 6. I mean,
I've already taken up all the questions, only one is left. Okay.
you can summarize at least 10 minutes for it.
Okay, no problem. No problem. One very interesting don't is the do's we know. How do we have to be formally dressed just like as if it is a physical hearing. The don'ts, the most important don't is the last one. Last month, in rather last week, Honorable Gujarat High Court has taken a suo moto contempt action against a very senior advocate. I won't name a senior advocate, and maybe the senior title is at stake now, because during a virtual hearing before the Honorable High Court, with the virtual background, the advocate was holding some mug or something. So we need to be very, very sure about our attire during the virtual hearing, because virtual hearing and physical hearing, it's one and the same thing. The address to the court, whichever authority, you should be properly addressing the authority and should be in the necessary decorum. Uh, I would recommend that virtual hearings should not be done from home, or at least from crowded places. The background, again, hats off to ICI for such a beautiful background. Otherwise, also your office background is good with books and with everything. So you need to take care of all these things. Preparation of reply has to be, and that's prayer clause I've marked and read. Prayer clause should be there. 62, I've discussed one constitutional recourse also that we are going. 62.2, the ASMT 13, you need to challenge if the return has been filed within 60 days and the department has not, and that's where your compliance team comes into play. You need to tell if you're a lawyer or a CA who also handles compliance along with litigation for the same client, then make sure that at least your compliance and litigation team are different. Because a person who does the compliance will always find himself to be on the correct side, whereas uh, it is quite possible that he may or may not be correct, and therefore it's very important for the litigation team to prepare a proper response to these things. So you need to just advise your compliance clients that at least once in a month, maybe once in 2 months, they go through all the client portals and find that if there is any such demand for defaulters, that has been automatically erased after filing of the return. If not, then you must uh, consult your jurisdictional AO so that this can be done. Now there are times when the department does for mitigating the time barring. They generally, what the department does is they start a special or a summary assessment, wherein that summary assessment the department says that since there is a delay or there is a chance of risk to revenue, hence we are moving ex parte. So you need to have a specific challenge for this special case, and you need to challenge through 129 circular that yes, there is 129 defines various conditions which tell you that this is a special and a fit case for best judgment assessment. So you need to check this 129 and check whether this is a special case or not. 73, 74, 76, we have already discussed. ASMT 10 is mandatory when there is a demand based on scrutiny. 74 is the extended period, things remain same. 74A with effect from 24-25. Again, for 74A also, ASMT 10 is mandatory in case of obviously the scrutiny parts. There is a common time limit. The time limit has been extended to a lot. 42 months from the annual return. 42 months. And order, passing of order, another 12 to 18 months. If all the listeners, all the viewers are they can remember, the earlier time limit under 74 and 73 was the last date was for issuing the final order, the adjudication order. Whereas under 74A, just like the parent law, that is service tax excise, now the time limit pertains to issuance of show cause notice and not the time limit does not pertain to now, no more issuance of final order. So if we calculate 42 plus 18, it becomes 60, it becomes 5 years. So now technically, even the non-fraud cases, 5 years timeline is there. There have been cases where the department has only issued e-notice that is uploaded on the portal, and the department has not made any efforts to serve the person through alternate modes. So various courts, including the Allahabad High Court, including Delhi High Court, they've started taking this seriously and have started instructing the officers to use alternate recourse also, especially in cases where the suo motu cancellation of registration, as was asked by Shabir sir, if there is a suo motu cancellation and then thereafter you are requesting, you're receiving any show cause notice or you're receiving any adjudication order, you're not bound to. The court specifically says that you are not bound to check the portal anymore if you have been, your registration has been suo motu cancelled. This is, you can write down the name. This is an important judgment, Kanhaiya Traders. Date of communication is when you have been really communicated. Date of order doesn't mean anything. So your appeal time starts from date of communication. Pre-deposit 10%. These are technical aspects. I will not take them. GST 80, obviously it will take some time. There are time limits. There is another 10% deposit. But in GST 80, it's the beautiful part is that you are officially given a time to file memorandum of cross objection in case of departmental appeal. However, here also in the first appeal, there is no such cross objection. There is no such formal procedure, but we generally do. But here you have a formal procedure, formal form in which you have to file the memorandum of cross objection. Writ petition we have already discussed. Because I've kept discussing various things from here and there. I think I've completed the entire this thing. This is what preparedness as a client and as a professional you have. In today's world, when 122 is very strong, dear friends, you need to seriously start thinking about having a very clear scope of work with your client, because the way things have been held, things have happened in the past with few of our professional brothers. I think it is time when we also set things right, rather than blaming few people, rather than blaming the system or anything. It is high time when we also do not cross the line to provide undue advantage to the client. We can seek advice from our seniors. We can provide some extra support. We can charge the fee. We can rediscuss it with the client that yes, this is a matter which requires a senior, which requires 2 or 3 people to be consulted with. Ego will not help. So I think you need to first of all have a clear scope of work with all your clients commencing today. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the patience. Thank you, TechSport. Thank you, IDT committee. And thanks a lot, our worthy chairman and vice chairman, sir, of the Indirect Tax Committee. Thank you, Impreet, for being support
Thank
during
you,
this
sir.
entire
Thank
session.
you for sharing such a valuable insight into the topic importance of GST litigation. I must say, effective GST litigation is crucial for the business to manage the risk, ensure compliance, resolve dispute that could otherwise lead to significant financial penalties, interest, and business disruptions. Thank you for sharing your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bhargav, we can sign off for the day.
We can? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir, we can sign off for the day.